Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And I'd like to just say, why would Regina think that I would brag giving an introduction for my mother? But indeed, I am honored for this, and again, say good morning to each of you. My mother, Ella Elizabeth Tyson Harris, is a graduate, 1963, of CMS High School in New England, and a 1967 honor graduate of North Carolina Central University in Durham. She graduated from East Carolina University with a Master's in History Education in 1986 and certification in Administration and Supervision in 1988. She served the Greenville City Pitt County School System for 45 years as a classroom teacher, assistant principal, summer school principal, and consultant, having retired in June 2009. The Ella T. Harris Lecture Hall at J.H. Rose High School was given in her honor. My mother, I call Mommy, received the Best Irons Human Relations Award given by the City of Greenville in 2005. And she was inducted into the East Carolina University Educators Hall of Fame in October 2010. She's a member of Sycamore Hill Missionary Baptist Church, and she is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated since December 1964, and is a charter member of the Iota Kappa Beta Chapter here in Greenville, a founder member of that since October 1972, and the East Carolina Ivy Foundation as a founding member in 2012. In 2007, Mommy was recognized by the Girl Scout Council of the Carolinas at its inaugural Women Distinction Banquet. And since 2013, Mommy has served East Carolina University as a member of the College of Education Dean's Professional Advisory Board. She's been married to Daddy, Alton Ray Harris, for 49 and a half years, her high school sweetheart, and I am their one and only daughter, Amber, and I live in Raleigh. We as a family support senior citizens, ministries at Sycamore Hill, and with the AKA sorority, the Dan Harris Tyson Scholarship Fund, Tar River Primitive Baptist Association, and CMS Heritage Society. And I've said all of that, everyone, but ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to break it down a little bit further. My mother would want me to stay formal, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper and tell you a little bit more about mine. My mother, with humble beginnings, is quiet, yet a powerful force, making an impact even in the smallest of things, rejoicing and preferring the fanfare of others rather than herself. Mommy can often be found at our cousin, who is 91, 92 years old, is currently on 6th Street, at her house, reminiscing about the days of old, or at Sycamore Hill Missionary Baptist Church, quietly working on projects. She's a walking history book, as some of you all know, a storyteller, and a soprano voice made for opera. Even though my grandmother passed away December 21st, 2000, my mother, Ella Elizabeth Tyson Harris, continues the tradition of quarterly feedings where there is a spread for a minimal amount of people that come to celebrate the Lord. There will be spreads and spreads and spreads for 21 people. Yet we prepare for a feast. Those are the small things that matter, that my mother is capable, beyond capable of doing and managing. Paul's Chapel is a primitive Baptist church that is located and nestled in the heart of Macclesfield, which is a stone's throw away from Belle Arbor. So it shows you how deep in the country that it is. My mother, Ella Elizabeth Tyson Harris is a praying woman. And I'm a recipient of that. There are things I can tell you that I know that she has done by praying and not even telling me, but I know that she did it. She's a mentor, a confidant, a friend, a teacher, a wife, a sister, and a philanthropist in more ways than monetary. Always paying it forward, and I do mean always. Always undergirding and supporting others, never asking for herself. Often, sometimes denying herself so that others can have. We're familiar with this verse. A rare jewel. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I will present my mother, Mommy, Ella Elizabeth Tyson Harris. She will be the next voice that you will hear. And thank you.
Let me tell you all before we get started about Mommy. As Amber has said, our mother, Mrs. Nan Harris Tyson, and you're going to hear about her some more from me. My mother lived to be 100 years old. She passed away in 2000. But I think Amber, we couldn't decide. I called her Mama. Alton, my husband, called her Mom. And so Amber said, well, I'll call Mama Mom, and I'll call you Mommy. So even as Amber got older, and it was time for her to maybe start calling me something else, she just kept on calling me Mommy. And so my mother lived such a long and just wonderful life. And my mother was Mama to all three of us. And I think Mommy and Daddy, as far as Amber is concerned, she just calls us Mommy and Daddy as a name. Because truly, my mother, the late Mrs. Nan Harris Tyson, was our mother. And I think Alton and I are like her brother and sister. So Mommy is really her sister. Thank you so much. I am honored and overwhelmed this morning, and joyful and everything else that goes along with it. And I'm going back to my script. I am a child. All the world waits for my coming. All the earth watches with interest to see what I shall become. Civilization hangs in the balance. For what I am, the world of tomorrow will be. I am a child. I have come into your world about which I know nothing. Why I came, I know not. How I came, I know not. I am curious. I am interested. I am a child. You hold in your hand my destiny. You determine largely whether I shall succeed or fail. Give me, I pray you, those things which make for happiness. Train me, I beg you, that I may be a blessing to the world. And so today, on the occasion of the Pitt Community College Martin Luther King Jr. Scholarship Breakfast, we are here to honor the memory of the late Dr. Martin Luther King as we, in 2018, keep the dream alive. And we are here to honor one among us who has given exemplary service to this Pitt Community College community. This gentleman, Mr. Raymond Redrick, has been and continues to be the epitome of community involvement and educational leadership. He has indeed been an inspiration to me through the years. We acknowledge our President Massey, members of the Board of Trustees, the Pitt Community College Foundation, PCC alumni, of which my husband is an alumnus 2 times, the faculty, staff, and friends. We acknowledge the elected officials, city, council, and state. We appreciate the introductory remarks from our own Amber. Thank you, Amber. And we are here to honor the request of the Multicultural Committee Chair, Ms. Regina Garcia, for the invitation to come and to share the hope of the nation as we work to make the dream of one great man continue to come to fruition. I am a child. All the world waits for my coming. I, Ella Elizabeth Tyson Harris, was born in 1945. And within days of my birth, I was given with love to Nan Harris and Square Riley Tyson, a couple who had each just become 45 years of age. It was Daddy's wish to get the new baby. My mama was then, and until she passed away at the age of 100, all into her church and the Tar River Primitive Baptist Association. She was into attending the church and feeding the church people and praising the Lord. And so Daddy would become the babysitter. I was a daddy's girl. I was born in July of 1945, and for so many, all of my life, I heard the beautiful story of my adoption. Unlike a lot of young people who may have been given to a family member or somebody kept the baby or whatever, I was legally adopted. I have the papers to show it. I knew, my mother knew before I was born that she could not keep me. And they searched for just the right couple to raise or to have this baby, to take this baby and raise this baby. And my biological grandmother, from what I understood, said to my parents, I really want you to educate this baby. We lived at 704 Douglas Avenue, a house that Mama and Daddy had moved into during the big snow of 1927. Does it sound like something we just went through? I heard it all my life, Mama talking about it. The big snow, and they were trying to put up a stove to get some heat in the house. They had originally lived out near the Voice of America Site C, and they had just gotten a house. And we own that house today. Our mother left it to us. Next door lived Georgiana Rogers, and her name was Georgie, and Captain Walter Rogers. And 2 doors down lived Miss Alma Willard. And across the street lived Miss Mama Brown. And across the path lived Mrs. Mabel Thorne. and Mrs. Name Hopkins. And on the corner lived Miss Betty Turnage. And on the other corner lived Mrs. C.K. Marshman. She had flowers everywhere. Along the fence, around the utility pole, on the front porch, and the back porch, everywhere. And then on the corner lived old man John Dines, whose daughter had been a dear friend, a childhood friend, and a playmate of my parents' daughter, Irene. Unfortunately, Irene had passed away at the age of 13 in 1931. And so now it's 1945. And there's an opportunity to get this baby, but my mother was afraid. She had lost that child. And that was not a feeling that she ever wanted to have again. But my daddy said, we're gonna have this baby, we're gonna take this baby. And around the corner, there's my cousin Elsie, and Uncle Jack, and my cousins Edna and Little Jack. And Aunt Bert, my mama's baby sister, lived in Riverdale. And Uncle Mose, her husband, had a truck. And he never let me ride in the back of the truck because he said it was too dangerous. And we went to some Primitive Baptist church every Sunday and some Saturdays when it was quarterly meeting. And in the summer we canned vegetables and put up pickles and peaches and picked blueberries too. We spread dinner at church every 3 months and had people come to our house the first Sunday in January, in April and July, and April and July and January, that's right. And so many people spent the night on the third weekend in October during the association that we had to sleep on the floor. My mama was so happy. And my mama worked in service to several distinguished and prominent families in this community. And Daddy was a year-round man at Person Garrett Tobacco Company. One of those buildings is still there. That was my daddy's factory. My mama said, I wish your daddy did have a factory. Life was very safe and secure, and I was loved and nurtured. We were poor by most standards, but I didn't know it, and I don't think Mom and Daddy knew it. Maybe they knew. And I blossomed, and I grew. I attended Fleming Street School around the corner from my house, from grades 1 through 4. We didn't have kindergarten. Miss Sadie Salter, you heard her name. The school's principal was my 4th grade teacher. Fleming Street School was a 2-story brick building with high ceilings and huge windows. The office was on the 1st floor, and the auditorium was on the 2nd floor. Now, the office was on the 1st floor next door to Miss Salter's room, our classroom. And the auditorium was on the 2nd floor. And we had school assemblies and operettas and movie hours. And that's where we saw the Little Rascals all the time. They were our favorite. And Easter fashion shows and Halloween carnivals and the health fair. We would play and play and play and run and run and run on the schoolyard during recess. And you better not go back into the school because Miss Salter would get you with that switch. And she'd say to us, you just better come on back. Because you were running up and down those halls and she'd be standing right there. And when you came past her, that switch. But I was very safe and very secure and very loved. The highlight of the school year at Fleming Street was the annual May Day. And that was a school fundraiser, just like we're having one today. We would crown the queen and honor her court. All the classes had a special presentation, and we wore beautiful costumes. I was a square dancer one year, and it was purple, I remember. And one year in the 1st grade, I was a majorette. I still have that picture. And one year, I was in a waltz. My class, we were in the waltz. There was always one special class that would rap the maypole. They knew exactly what to do. If you've ever seen that, it was just beautiful. I was a member of a Brownie Scout troop which traveled to Washington, D.C. in the spring of 1953. And we sang all the way to Washington, D.C. and all the way back home. How much is that doggy in the window? We visited the Washington Zoo, the Capitol, the Washington Monument, and the Lincoln Memorial. And then it was on to CMS, grades 5 and 12. We knew everybody. I think I want to just throw this in. We knew everybody. That's why sometimes the CMFs and all of these reunions are so successful. People wonder, how in the world do you have a reunion and it's so successful? Because we knew each other. We were together from grades 1 through 4, and then we were together from grades 5 through 12. You knew everybody. Our schools at that time were not integrated. Students from all over town walked to West Fifth Street, to the West Fifth Street site. From downtown on Reed Street or Reed Circle, and First Street and 2nd Street, and from Newtown, which is near the Garrison Evans Lumber Company now, and from over the hill near the English Chapel, Free Will Baptist Church, which is Deck Street. They walked all the way to CMS. It was a wonderful mix. The students from Meadowbrook, across the river, were the only ones who came by school bus. Our teachers knew our family. The principal levied the power and punishment if we were disrespectful. At Flippin Street School, like I told you, Miss Salter had a switch. At Epps, our principal was W.H. Davenport. He ruled with an iron hand. We referred to him as Dip. He demanded the very best. No parties, no back talk, few absentees, no fights on campus. No fights on campus. No pregnant teens. I don't think I've ever seen anybody pregnant at school in all those years. He would know all about the community. And I tell you, if you did something in the community, he would reprimand you at school. Mr. Davenport made it his business to know all about us. Young men wore suits and ties. By the time we got to the 8th grade, the young men wore suits and ties, and the girls wore sweaters and pearl necklaces and those kinds of things, and skirts and dresses. And the girls in the upper grades wore high-heel shoes. And we just thought we were the best. But can you see yourself as a role model for the little girls in the 5th grade? They had somebody to look up to. Mine was a very safe and a very secure and a very loving environment. At Epps, we traveled with our choir to Raleigh and Durham and Fayetteville and Robertsonville, and to the Rotary Club over at ECU. Even though we were in a segregated society, our choir from time to time would go to different churches in the white community and sing. We participated in talent hunts and health fairs and met students from all the surrounding counties as we participated in the North Carolina Joint Council on Health and Citizenship, sponsored by our local physician, Dr. Andrew A. Best. We were so excited to see the presidential candidate John F. Kennedy when he visited Pitt County on Saturday, September 17, 1960. We were down in the corner. I was down in the corner of 5th and Green. 5th and Green, waiting for the motorcade. That's down where Pew's service station was, and now big high-rise is. Waiting for the motorcade, who had just passed the CMF's band and the congregation of the Sycamore Hill Missionary Baptist Church down at First and Green, just coming across the bridge. There was only one bridge at that time, remember? Okay. We had witnessed our friend Laura Leary integrate East Carolina University in 1962. And we had laid to rest our beloved football coach, Percy Daniels, and won a football game with a goal line stand in his memory down in Elizabeth City. We were playing P.W. Moore. And the score was 7-6. This happened in my senior year. And my husband, of course, was on that football team. We had attended a youth summit on the campus of North Carolina State. Things were changing, right? In the spring of 1963, and my graduation was on May 31st. With high expectations, college was for me. Even back in the day, our community found scholarships to push us forward, scholarships and grants. Those who mentored us and encouraged us, the faculty, the staff, the superintendent of schools at that time, Mr. Junius H. Rose. I knew Mr. Junius H. Rose. My mother knew Mr. Junius H. Rose. We talked about those pickles, but every now and then my mama would take a job to Mr. J. H. Rose. That's what she knew. And he knew us. And he had connections. And he used those connections to assist us at our school. Those people who wanted to go to college could go. That's why I was so honored to work at J.H. Rose. I was honored to work there. It was an honor for me. Because I knew Mr. Rose and I knew what he did and what he had done in the community. Dr. E.B. Acock, our family doctor, was chairman of the Board of Education of Greenville City School. And Mr. John Mazzell was on the school board. And the Bachelor Benedict Club, Mr. Reddick, and the 20th Century Club acted as athletic boosters to our teams. And the 10+3 Club sponsored scholarships. That was before Delta Sigma Theta was chartered in Greenville, or Alpha Kappa Alpha was chartered in Greenville. The 10+3 Club was here. All the world waits with interest to see what I shall become. Education was the key to those hopes and dreams. Education, higher education, past the secondary. Education would get you to the next level. It would open doors and give opportunities yet unseen, if that were your choice. And of course, it was my choice. North Carolina College in Durham in the fall of 1963 was going to be my choice. But the world was beginning to change. On August the 28th, 1963, just prior to my going away to college the next Monday, a man by the name of Dr. Martin Luther King was on the television with his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. I saw that as I ironed clothes and packed my trunk, getting ready to go. Things were changing. What had I gained all those years in Greenville, North Carolina? I had a loving and supportive family, the family. I had strong community ties, the community. I had an unfaltering belief in a higher power, the church. And there were high expectations in an atmosphere of academic excellence at CMS. But the world was changing. We would encounter a changing event, and things have never been the same since, for me perhaps. Somewhere between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the afternoon on November 22nd, 1963, the world got the news. Julie remembers, we were at North Carolina Central. The assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy in Dallas, Texas. And the world stood still for 4 days. And you know, back in the day, we didn't have a television. We just had a TV in the day room at the dormitory. And we crowded around. look. I just can't even tell you. But, the thing about this, opportunities at North Carolina Central were great. You know, you get past this and you go to the next thing. They were great. We did so many things. Two things that I want to highlight here was Dean Latham, our Dean of Women, would bring famous women to our campus, role model women to inspire us to our campus every spring. And we would see these women, and among them was Dr. Dorothy Bolden Farabee, who had been a part of the Mississippi Health Project back in the 30s down in Mississippi, had traveled there and had been able to reach some of those women who had been neglected in healthcare. I'll never forget her because I saw her as a student at North Carolina Central. I would see her again in 1978 at the Alpha Kappa Alpha Boulay in Houston, Texas. Again, the opportunities to meet, to be inspired by, to be encouraged by. Another thing, I was a part of the North Carolina Central University Choir, or the North Carolina College Choir. And we sang everywhere, all over the state of North Carolina, and in Richmond, Virginia, and Washington, D.C., and Morristown, New Jersey. These are just cities that I know I remember. And on Easter Sunday of 1964, we were in the Easter Parade on Fifth Avenue in New York City. These were the kinds of opportunities that came because I was in this other environment, taken to another level. And I graduated from North Carolina Central. And the world was changing as I see it. Coming back home, a beginning teacher. My very first year, April 4th, 1968, I was in Raleigh, North Carolina, attending a teachers' conference. Helen and Isabel were there too, I'm sure. I know they were. And we got the news that Dr. Martin Luther King had been killed. Oh boy. Chaos erupted. You know that. Everybody knows that. And we would have to come back home and end our conference there to go later to convene at another location. And during those early years of my teaching, we were in one movement after another. The civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, the hippie movement. How about that? The Vietnam War time. Bring the boys home. It was an anti-war movement. But I had chosen teaching as a career, to lead, to guide, to use those teachable moments like J.B. Smith had used. J.B. Smith, my 9th and 10th grade math teacher. Never forget it. He was just as tough as they come. But you know what he'd do? Every now and then he would sit on the corner of that desk and talk to us about life and about how he wanted us to be. And then you couldn't keep him off the subject too long. He'd get on back and throw that math at you. But I'll never forget it. My job was to motivate, to lead, to guide, to use those teachable moments to move my students to a higher level, to a higher plane. Education most certainly was the key. And I always talk about getting across the stage. The beauty of, I think, working at a high school, because that's something you can say all day, up and down every hall. When somebody's out there in the hall fighting or fussing, look, girl, are you going across the stage? Girl, I thought you were going across the stage in June. Girl, ain't you going across the stage? This is what you say. You can't say a lot because you're working in a school that has 1,400 kids or 1,500 kids, and you're trying to motivate them. And people have told me, that when I walked down the hall, it was like part of the Red Sea, everybody moved up. Perhaps they did. But look, they didn't even know I couldn't run or do nothing else. But if that's what you think, okay, part of the Red Sea, let me through. The point is, getting across the stage, I can say whatever I need to say, me, I would do for others. I would be a model of excellence for my students. I would have high expectations, and it would be in a safe and orderly environment. But the world has changed. That great society that came on back during the Johnson era, you remember that. You know, it's your thing, do what you want to do. What? My gracious. Oh, dear Father. You know, think fast. Whatever it is I need to do. But we found out that there is now a cycle of poverty, and drugs and those kinds of things have seeped into America and even into small towns like Greenville and into rural areas. And babies are being born to addicted mothers and fathers, and children are labeled like latchkey. Now listen, when I was a little girl, like I said, we were poor, but I didn't know it. Now, unfortunately, these are sociological terms. We are labeling our children. We have to be careful, because when we label them, they act out. And what they do, it becomes what is called a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you label me and you say I'm this, that, or the other, I'm going to prove it to you. And so we have to be very careful. And herein lies our challenge. And Amber said to me, Mommy, what are you talking about? What is the title of what you're talking about? I am a child. All the world waits for my coming. Civilization hangs in the balance for what I am, the world of tomorrow will be. But there's a challenge on us as we keep the dream alive. Perhaps that's my topic. Keeping the dream alive and recognizing the challenges that we face. Our graduates have witnessed a world in their time where children are not really children anymore. These children are thrust into an adult world all too soon. There's child abuse and child neglect and incarceration, single parenthood, and now we're talking, this year has been talking about human trafficking. I tell you. But herein lies our challenge. We have to go back to basics. We have to go back to that old world that I lived in way back 50-some years ago. And by the way, I want to say I am a graduate of North Carolina Central University. 50 years ago, we just celebrated our 50th class reunion on October 28th. There were 116 of us who went back and gave back. I mean, I tell you, they ask for money every minute of the day. Our president, Isaiah Tidwell, a former banker, asking for money every time I turn around, we were getting something else or something. But anyway, we celebrated. I tell you, and what we have to do is get back to basics. We have to stimulate and engage our children in good academic programs. And I believe that we're doing that. We have to say to them, you can do this. You can do this. There has to be no nonsense discipline. And there has to be highly structured. And Amber knows that I say to her, I know you have this gadget in your hand. You know, you got this great big new Apple, whatever this thing is. It's a gadget. And we put everything in it, but you know what we need? We need a notebook. You have to write something down. And you put it down and you check it off. And you can see it. I'm talking about it now. But what did I say? I have a planner. And it has the days of the week. It's not in my hand. I don't have to click anything. I look at it. What I have to do. I know what I have to do on January 11th. And I know what I have to do on January 31st. And I'm looking at all of it at the same time. That's a challenge to this new fandangle generation type stuff. Now, we have to keep the children on task. We have to bring them back in, bring ourselves back in to basics. We have to model what we want them to do. And we have to model what we want them to be. We're going to lead by example. We're not going to give them a lot of time, but we're going to structure their time. You know that idle mind is a devil's workshop? That's true. So we're not going to give them a lot of frills out there, a lot of time. We're going to bring them in and structure their time. We're going to mentor. We're going to mold. We're going to make them. We're going to give them some money, just like we're doing today, in the form of scholarships and work study and grants, so that they too can reach that next level, so that they too can move to a new world and reach an impossible dream. We have to teach them to surround themselves with positivity. They say this is the beginning of a new year. You have to let some of that old go and pick up with those people who are moving forward with you. We have to encourage them to have quiet time. You just can't be doing something every minute, every day. You know? You have to be proud of who you are. When we have family reunions, talk about your family, about the legacy in your family. Now look, all of us have some things in our family that we don't want to talk about. But you know what? We probably need to talk about it, because it would put it on the table and would give us an opportunity to get past it. That's one of the problems. We don't talk about it. And so we can't get past it. The beauty, I think, of my birth and of my life is that I always knew who I was and who I am. I know who I am on both sides, my biological father and mother. I have been blessed to teach my sisters and brothers. Can you believe that? They were right there in the classroom with me, hearing me tell this story of how I was adopted. Of course, they were not. But they heard me. I said it. I said it so they wouldn't tell me. Or somebody else walk up to me and tell me who I am, because I know who I am. You see what I'm saying? That's what we have to do for our children. We have to make time for our children. And I'm almost finished. Amber said to me last night as we talked, I said, you know, one of the happiest times in my life, and this is a memory that I have, even at 72 years of age, every now and then I'll go back and remember myself. I was in the middle, and Mama and Daddy were on either side of me. And we had been to a neighbor's house on Sunday night, let's say, because my daddy was a year-round man, so he worked all the time at Person Garrett. But every now and then we'd walk down to the neighbor's house, and then it would get dark, and we'd come back, and the street light would be on, and the shadow. And I was in the middle. But when we walked, and I had hand in hand, I was just as tall as Mom and Daddy. I remember that. That is something that I will never forget. That's what we have to give back to our children. I tell you, intentionality, that's a word, that's a new word. We have to intend to do it and do it. I mean for you to do this, I intend for you to do this. That's a word. I've got this book on it that I've read portions of. Give them some quality time. It says, train up a child in the way that he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart. Now, the point about it is, he may stray from it, but he'll come back to it. And that's what we need to remember with our children. And now, as we're closing this, we want you to give to Pitt Community College. And they said that there's some things that our family, and we do as a family, we champion certain levels of giving in certain organizations that we are a part of. Of course, in our church. Of course, I'm pulled from everywhere. East Carolina University has been very good to me. Very good to me. A man by the name of Dr. Hugh Weiss took me from one program at the undergraduate level and said, you know what, I think you might do well over here in the graduate program. Let's see how you function over here. Because I was a French major. Can't speak a word of it now. Learned it well, did very well in it. Don't know a word now. Probably could read it, but speak it, no. But I came at a time when the schools were integrated. Amber was born in the fall of '69, and I was not there. And they asked me to come back and to teach Black history. Teach Black history? Number one, I didn't know Black history. I never liked it. And now I love it. You know, I love history, not just black history, because I put all of it together, and then I can work it. The point is, I went to Rhodes and taught a half a day for half a year. It was beautiful. It opened up more opportunities for me. And so then I had to get the certification. Now you can be qualified, but not certified. You all know that. So you have to be certified. So I had to do that. So I had to start working on that certification. And in working on it, Dr. Hugh, we said, we'll talk. And let's see if we can invite you to the graduate program. Not just the undergraduate program, but the graduate program. And I went on in there and did real good too. You know, I like learning. It's good for me. But the point is, there was an educational opportunity. I worked in the school system. I taught. You know, all kinds of social studies classes. I met so many different children, not just children who would take French, who might have been college bound, but in social studies, all the children were there. And so you get a chance to motivate them and mold them and have those teachable moments and sit on the edge of that desk and talk sometimes. Again, be proud of who you are. Surround yourself with positivity. Have that quiet time. And oh yes, give back, just as we are doing today. The Pitt Community College Foundation. What does it say? Make a donation to the Pitt Community College Foundation. And what else does it say? We can make dreams come true. And then there's Jasmine Spain. He's being honored by this other group for everything that he's doing out here. Oh yes. And then the advanced person, Mrs. Noble. Yes, and she says, estate giving. So Lord, now they want you to put us in the wheel. But that's what we want to do. The community college is coming at us from every angle. We want to carry on the legacy, and we want to pass on the torch. And on this, the occasion of the 2018 Martin Luther King celebration at Pitt Community College, we're just honored to be here and honored to have come to share. And all I can say is, now is everybody saying, what is it? Pay it forward. Pass the pay